Hello. You're in for a treat.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays.
2 West.
6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
We got new hours because we're nerdish.
And we're in our 20s despite our looks, so we gotta do things in the evening time over the summer.
Correct. But not too late because, as Levi said, we're in our mid-20s.
Not our early 20s.
And not our late 20s. The mid-20s.
So, yes, we're the Goldilocks of 20s.
That's right, I shouldn't have laughed. I gotta keep it cool, because this is our intro rap, where we keep things cool.
We're very cool, so cool we might want a dance break.
Hey, thanks for watching our dance break.
Now, back to the really serious stuff.
Like Brady
And Levi.
and Brady too. We're the 3 members of the Nerdish crew.
That was perfect. We didn't plan that.
Not at all. We don't plan anything. If you couldn't tell by this rap. That was the one thing we rhymed.
That was the one thing.
Which makes it a rap.
Yes, all raps have one rhyme.
We'll see you on 2 West.
Yes, 2 West.
6, 7:30 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time.
Keep watching, because it'll turn into us, but probably not wearing the wigs.
Yes, and we'll be much more responsive to whatever you have to say.
You could ask us questions right now. We will not answer them.
Also, we take no responsibility for anything we've done in this pre-recorded session.
Yes. Any lost items, Nerdish is not responsible.
Right, we don't have anything to do with it. We're very different people in the present than we are from when we're recording this video. You might say we are the pupae of Nerdish right now, and in the future we will be the moths.
The
Because moths are the
disgusting
most-
gray moths.
Yes, those gray moths that you hear they're
Yeah.
like the bats of the flying community.
The wings are leathery. They're leathery wings.
Very leathery.
They're basically butterflies, but we hate them.
Yes.
They're the rodents of butterflies.
This is true.
Right?
Just like the ACT is the rodent of the SAT.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Okay. Come on, come on. It is Nerdish. It is Thursday, the last day that we're doing this of the week. Not the last day we're doing this. Ring Matthews, hello.
Hi, Matthew.
Welcome to the stream. Man, Ring Matthews is so prompt.
Prompt.
Prompt Matthews.
Prompt, Matthews.
Prompt Matthews.
Very good.
Very good. That's it. That's it. Today
The only
we're
thing there
talking
is.
about your questions. What are you missing your markers?
Yes.
Yeah. You got to get some. Don't look at mine. Your markers are apparently
spilled
better.
something on your shirt.
I spilled?
On your
Oh,
shirt.
it's a little bit of water. That's no problem.
Clockwork.
It will go away.
Matthew, you got questions?
We got answers, Ring Matthews. Ring on Matthews today.com for you. That's it.
No questions.
No questions.
Great.
Fantastic.
We will just entertain you.
Let's take a look. Is there anything in the Discord?
Oh yeah, Robot Dancer has a bunch of stuff.
Robot Dancer. Oh, fantastic.
I had someone address me on Discord with "Hey boss,"
Hey, boss.
and I thought about saying "Hey employee," but I didn't.
Have we done
I
the
said hi.
Cirrus
What's that?
Cloud one?
Who?
Did you do this one yesterday?
Go back to it. See
It's
the
right-
timestamp.
It's right there.
Oh no! Hello. Oh no.
Hello, how no. Very good to see you.
Great to see your words. Yeah.
So, did you do this yesterday?
I don't know. Why don't you
Look
the
at
Look
it.
at the timestamp. I don't remember doing it.
Okay, then we didn't do it.
Why?
I wanted you. Okay, the timestamp. Yeah, you definitely did.
So we got to do it.
Big time.
Isn't it?
Big time. This is it.
Is it a different one?
No,
Oh,
the
no,
Cirrus
it's-
Cloud.
Okay.
Get your head on, man. You gotta put it on
A
your neck.
cirrus cloud is a type of cloud that can form at altitudes more than 5 kilometers and less than 13 kilometers above sea level. Which of the following? Okay, so here's the sea in pink, and then we have 5 kilometers here, and then we have, what was it, 13?
I'll put it over here for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, here. Check out where
We
you
don't
are
condone theft.
on the screen. Check out where you are on the screen.
Oh, shoot.
I can't read that.
All right, I'll blow it up for you.
So, and then 13, what it was, maybe? 13 kilometers. So, they can be anywhere in here. Which of the following inequalities describes the possible altitudes x in kilometers above sea level at which a cirrus cloud can form? Okay, so the clouds are here, right? Or they're kind of flat on the bottom most of the time, right? And this is like the iCloud thing or some garbage. So we can be in there, which means that I would think that, I mean, without absolute value stuff, I don't know why there's absolute value. That seems strange.
No, that makes sense.
Oh.
It's about a distance. You can't be a certain distance up or down from middle place.
Right.
Because you can be
So
above
I'm
or
going to
below.
start with x being between 13 and 15. No, 13 and 5. That's where I'll start. Wow, this is just a little bit. Okay, so x is going to be between these two. And I'm not sure why A would be the right answer. Let's. I want to just start with the wrong or the right answer.
No, A is not the right answer.
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Okay.
So this is the most sensible thing to have from this picture, but it doesn't have absolute value stuff.
This distance here is 8.
Yes.
So there's a span of 8 units you're allowed to have.
Yes.
And if you're right in the middle of the action, you're at, let's see, 18, you're at 9. So right in the middle of the action, this midline here is 9. So if you are a cirrus cloud, you can be at 9, or you can be up 4 units from there, or down 4 units from there. It's almost reminiscent of like when you think of like a sine wave, you got your midline, then you go up 4 and you go down 4, and that's your amplitude. So in this case, the distance from 9 that you are cannot be greater than 4. Because if it is, you are either above 13 or below 14.
Yeah. And if you can't reason it out from having a visual, what you can do is just solve each of these up here, which is actually not that slow. If we start with the first one, x plus 5, magnitude or absolute value of that is less than 13. Then you get x plus 5 is less than 13, and x plus 5 is greater than negative 13. And then we see from this one first that x has to be greater than negative 8, which is true, but not that useful.
Further down, negative 18.
Negative 18, you're right, that's what I meant. X has to be greater than negative 18. Sure, but that doesn't get this exactly.
That gets you underground.
So it allows for stuff. It has too much slop there. So this one's no good, and you do the same for the rest of it. And this can be pretty quick. It's not as ideal as being able to reason out the absolute value from the visual, but you can do it that way.
You know, the reason why they're using absolute value here is because if you are a certain distance away from the level you're supposed to be, either up or down, that's okay. So by taking the absolute value, if you're negative 3 units or positive 3 units, all that matters is your distance away from the allowed level to be at. So like the answer is absolute value of x minus 9, and if you think about that, let's say you're at a height of like 15. So 15 minus 9, you're gonna get 6, or let's say you're at a height of maybe only 7. 7 minus 9, you're going to get negative 2. Negative 2 is not a great distance to think about, but all it means is that we're 2 units below that midline. So by taking the absolute value, we're allowing ourselves to be either above or below it and computing what our overall distance would be away from it, not really caring about the direction.
You want to erase and I'll pull up another one for you?
Sure.
Oh, so the question that went along with this was, can you guys please go over compound inequality concept? So as a general concept, this thing is x is between those two numbers.
Can you take my racket?
Yeah, you can have it again.
Okay.
And then, so in this case, x works for both of those, right? We said we're now just taking this as an example in a vacuum, ignoring the previous problem. If you have this, that means that on a number line, you have a 5 here, you have a 13 here. X can be anything in between them. exclusive. You can't be 5, you can't be 13 because it's less than. So this is an and. X is greater than 5 and less than 13 because it can be both at the same time. And then if you're trying to solve some given compound inequality like this, you treat it like any normal inequality. If you really want, you could actually break it up into 2 and just have this portion here of the negative 14 is less than 2x minus 6, have that over here, and then also 2x minus 6 is less than 28, and solve those inequalities, or isolate x in those inequalities individually. That's fine. Or you can do it all at once, which isn't really any harder. You just have to do what you do to one side, you have to do to all 3 sides, although now there's a middle. But if we're trying to isolate x, we add 6 to all 3 pieces. We get negative 8 is less than 2x, which is less than 34. And then we divide by 2 for all of them. We get negative 4 is less than x, less than 17. There you go. So on a number line, same deal. Negative 4, 17. X is between those 2 numbers in exclusive. Now, could you hide that actually for a sec?
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure what robot wants exactly.
I mean, the question was in reference to the question we just did.
Yeah, but that wasn't... Is that a compound inequality exactly? I mean, it is once you start...
Well, you set it up, when you started it, you had it as a compound inequality.
Right, but if the question is I don't understand compound inequalities, then we'll go over that a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, please let us know, because Robot is not here, so we can do Robot's questions whenever. The other side is when we have an x value that, let's say, is, let's say we have negative, no, 4 is less than x, which is less than negative 5. So I wouldn't write it this way, because x will not be both of these things at once. X could be greater than 4, like the number 12, but that wouldn't be less than negative 5 at the same time. So instead of having an and situation, all right, this is and we have or. So this is x is going to be greater than 4, or x will be less than negative 5. It'll be both. It can be one or the other. It can't be both because the number line doesn't connect like the prime meridian does.
Wouldn't you want to write those 2 things separately then?
I did. You're lagging, so.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yep, I know.
You're right.
So on a number line, you have a negative 5 here. You have a 4 here. So still exclusive. 4 or x can be less than negative 5 or greater than 4, but it's not in the middle. It can't. You can't satisfy both. So you would say or. And either way works when you're solving some sort of. Let's go back to absolute value stuff. So if we say that, ooh, what do we got here? Signed up for my College Board account. We'll take. Nice, good stuff. Set to graduate high school in January 2028. Okay, you will be very old unless you're Benjamin Buttoning. Okay, so I'm going to give us one of these bad boys. Let's say, 2, 1, x is. I think this is what I want. No, it's not. Shoot. Rag. No, never mind. I got it. I want less than here. Or let's go less than or equal to for good measure. So we have more stuff. Less or greater than or equal to. So to solve these, you have to split them up into 2. So what do we got? Even though I'm no longer in full-time education. Well, that's College Board wouldn't let me submit the form without setting the graduation date. Oh, so you actually put 2028. That's funny. Yeah, it doesn't matter. They don't care. They want your money. So here we have x plus 2 is greater than or equal to 3. Then to split it the other direction, we go x plus 2 is less than or equal to negative 3. So now we have x is greater than or equal to 1, and we have x is less than or equal to -5. So on a number line, and this would be or, because you can't be both of these at the same time, we have a -5 here, we have a 1 here, we have a closed circle because it's equal to on each of them, out that way, closed circle, out that way. And there we are. Okay, I'm going to erase this. Bird, you ready for the next one? Okay, that's good.
Ooh, getting kind of sweaty.
Yeah, me too. It's hot. For a sec, I thought you were in 4th grade. Oh, good. Not talking about us.
Ring Matthews thinks we're in 4th grade, but it was
Ring
only
Matthews
for a second.
is addressing Slayer Dog.
No, man, it's us.
Oh.
It's us. All right. The question here is, in the system of equations above, a and b are constants. For which of the following values of a and b does the system of equations have no real solutions? That's pretty sad. I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller to start. And then we'll check out the solutions in a little bit. Oh, absolutely. Big time, big time. You gotta let it dry, Leaf. You gotta let it dry. Remember that song, Let It Burn?
Nope. I think I saw it, though, once in
You
theaters.
saw the song?
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw like audio waves
In
in
theaters,
the air? Yeah, they played the song in the theater.
Yep.
A music video.
Yep.
Big time. You keep drawing.
Ooh. Where are you off to?
Just wanted to check something. It's exactly as I suspected. We're all set. All right, so, sorry. Here we go. Y is equal to ax squared plus 6. And then y is equal to bx plus 5. Y is equal to bx plus 5. So to solve a system of equations, you always can do substitution. When you got linear equations, you can do elimination, but in all cases, you can do substitution. So both these are already solved for y. So I'm going to set these two things equal to each other, and we're going to move on from there. So ax squared plus 6 would be equal to bx plus 5. Before we get to what this question's asking, it's a quadratic. Solve a quadratic, you always have to put it in standard form first. Standard form is everything's on one side, 0 is on the other. So I'm going to move everything here over to the left side by subtracting it. So we're going to do minus bx, and we're also going to do minus 5. We're going to end up with ax squared minus bx. We have plus 6, but then we're going to subtract 5 from that side, so we're going to end up with plus 1 is equal to 0. Fantastic. Okay, we have a quadratic here. Number of solutions a quadratic can have is as far as the number of real solutions, because polynomials can have imaginary solutions as well. Remember that a solution is how many, or the places that a polynomial touches the x-axis. So a quadratic having 2 solutions would look like this. It's crossing the x-axis twice. Polynomial having no real solutions looks like this. Just never even gets the x-axis. And you could also have 1 real solution, which is where you just barely, but you do, touch the x-axis once on your vertex. All right, and in the quadratic formula, the place that that comes from is called the discriminant. Let's put it up over here. X is equal to minus b plus or minus. This marker is not doing it for me. The square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. This marker is doing it for me. The thing that's going to get you non-real answers, well, the way to get a non-real answer, an imaginary answer, is to take the square root of a negative number. So it is the thing under the square root. That right there is what we want to look at closely. That is the discriminant. That's what that's called. If the discriminant is positive, you're going to get 2 solutions. So if it's positive, you're going to get, 2 real solutions. If it is equal to 0, you're going to get 1 real solution. And if it is less than 0, you're going to get 0 real solutions. This question is, for the following values of a and b, for which values does the system of equations have no real solution? So what that's going to mean is our discriminant is negative. So we have to first figure out what do we have for our a, our b, and our c, And be careful, because when I say A, B, and C, I'm talking more in terms of a normal quadratic that has numbers. So like, for instance, if we have the quadratic 4x squared plus 5x minus 3, and you're trying to solve that by putting into the quadratic formula, the first thing you have to do is label, oh, your A value is 4, your B value is 5, your C value is negative 3. That's what A, B, and C are. It's unfortunately the case that we're using the letters A and B in this problem as constants, but let's just make sure we're pulling things out and placing them where they're supposed to be. What's before the x squared? That coefficient is our A value. In this case, it is literally A. Our B value is what's in front of the x. In this case, it's negative B. That is what our B value will be. This is very confusing. Let me know if you have any questions about what this means, because we're not saying that, in general, B is equal to negative B. Like the formal B of the quadratic standard form, it is negative B, the constant right here, and then our C is positive 1. So our discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, if we put in all the values, first off we have minus b, that's standing in for our b, squared, minus 4, a is a, c is 1. So that's going to end up being positive b squared minus 4a, and that needs to be negative. B squared minus 4a has to be negative. I can go one step further with making this even cleaner. I'm going to move the 4a to the other side. So b squared has to be less than 4a. That would make it no real answers because our discriminant would be negative. So now it is time to look at our solutions. Let us see what we have. I will close it up a little bit. Oh, excellent. Excellent. Now you already see what's right and what's wrong, but we'll talk about why that is. So all we're going to do here is put these possible a and b values in for this, and if this inequality holds true, then we're good. I'm going to get rid of these right here. And give me some space so you can see my face. Okay, so if we choose answer A, we'd be putting in 1 for b, so that would be 1 squared is less than 4 times, our a value is negative 2. 1 is less than negative 8, not true, a cannot be right. That is a big X right there. Ugh, it's not a great X. Whatever. The next one, sorry, this is not a great 8. That's not even a great 8 either. Negative 8. All right, the next answer. Now you see where this is going, and you see that B and C are not going to give you correct things either. For both B and C, your B is 2, so we're going to end up with 4 has to be less than. So we either have 4 times 1 or 4 times negative 1. Both of those are our answers for B and C. Either way, 4 is not less than 4. 4 is equal to 4. And 4 is not less than negative 4. 4 is greater than negative 4. So those don't work as well, leaving us with D, bam, bam, and then bam, bam. So lastly, we try B. We're going to have 1 squared is less than 4 times 2. 1 is less than 8. That is finally correct, which is why the answer is D. That gives us a negative discriminant, which means no real solutions. Very good. It is hot. It's very hot. Let's see what we have next. Let's see what we have next. Oh man, Robot Dancer is fantastic.
Well, actually, Sucky Charms asked the question.
Doesn't mean Robot Dancer is not fantastic.
This is true.
Oh, this is going to be a fun one. All right. Yeah, that sounded good.
Did that help?
It sounded good. All right. This would be way too big if I were to open this up. So I'm going to keep it this size. I'm going to make this larger.
So I was saying, since Robot's not here and they asked a bunch of questions, Sucky Charms probably is. Hey, Sucky Charms or Deep Blue, are you still here? They asked for reading tips.
Got it.
So we could talk about reading.
Okay.
We could pull up a reading section. And we could go through some stuff.
That's what you're into.
Do we want to do that and then come back to Robot Dancer questions?
Yes,
After
if they're
this one,
here.
Okay. Okay.
Well, no, I mean, we could do it now since they're not responding.
We already got this one up.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we can wait and do this.
Okay, sounds good. So, Carlos has either
soccer,
basketball,
or
piano,
practice
with, each
after
noon
after
school.
The
Probability, he
has
each
practice
depends
on
whether
or
not
it
is
raining.
the
Tree
diagram
above
shows
the
probability
of
rain
tomorrow
as
well
as
the
probabilities
that
Carlos
has
each
practice
if
there
is
rain
or
no
rain.
what is
It is
the
probability
that
Carlos
will
not
have
soccer
practice
tomorrow. Well, the fun thing is because we focused so much on that back and forth exercise, I didn't read the
have
question
no idea
at
what happened.
all.
Okay, so he has practice in the afternoon tomorrow. One of the possibilities. The probability his each practice depends on whether or not it's raining. Great. The tree diagram above. Wow, I'm just cut off. The tree diagram above shows the probability of rain tomorrow,
Okay.
as well as the probabilities of each of those things happening if there is rain or not.
Okay.
What is the probability he will not have soccer practice tomorrow?
So he could have any of these events, whether it's raining or not raining, but the probability of each of these events changes a little bit depending on the rain or not rain. For instance, the chances that he has soccer practice if there's rain is only 10%, but if there's not rain, it's 40%. So things like that. So the chances that Carlos will not have soccer practice. There is a kind of a shortcut to questions like these. These are not probabilities, as in these are probabilities of things not happening. So like for instance, if you have a 6-sided die, probability of rolling a 1 is 1/6. All right, 6 equally likely faces. Only one of them is the desired one, desired over total. The probability of not 1 is the remaining probability that's left over. 1 has 1/6 of a probability. So the other probability that's left over is 5/6. And when I say left over, I mean all the different events that could happen need to add up to 100%, because one of those events is going to happen. On the off chance, though, that you get nuked before you actually see what's on the die, which is a non-zero probability, that means that then you wouldn't actually... They wouldn't add up to 100% in that case. They'd add up to something slightly less than 100%, and then a tiny percentage would be the fact that you could get hit with a nuclear bomb at any time, which is exciting. That's why it just fills me with adrenaline. But considering that doesn't happen for a long time, let's just assume that that's a zero probability of that happening. So you're going to see one of these faces. So in total, everything should add up to 100%. Just like with flipping a coin. Heads, 50% chance, tails, 50% chance. You add those up, you get 100%. So if you want to find the probability of something not happening, if you find the probability of it actually happening, but then subtract that probability away from 1, you will find the probability that it does not happen. So what we're trying to find here is the probability of not soccer practice. Now that's what they're asking for. I'm not throwing our own not in there yet. What's the probability? You know what? I'm going to say no soccer practice. The probability of no soccer practice, all right, will be equal to 1 minus the probability of him actually having soccer practice. So we can figure out what are the chances of having soccer practice tomorrow, and then just take that away and see what's left. That'll probably be the probability of him not having soccer practice. So the probability of having soccer practice is what we're trying to find, and then we will subtract it later. There are 2 different ways that Carlos could have soccer practice. He could have a rain day soccer practice, or he could have a non-rain day soccer practice. The chances of it raining and then him having soccer practice, those are 2 probabilities, 2 branches we have to follow. We first have to follow the rain branch, which is 70%, and then we have to follow the soccer practice branch, which is 10%. When you have 2 separate independent events like that, you multiply their probabilities together, okay? So there's 2 different ways that he could have soccer practice. Let me bring this down a little bit. And that could be rain soccer, or we're going to call it dry. No rain soccer. Okay, so the rain soccer would be 0.70 for the rain times 0.10 for soccer practice. Nope, 0.10. And then when you have a couple different things that satisfy what you want to have happen, so like there are two different ways that he could get soccer practice. This or means we're going to add these probabilities together, okay? So we're going to be adding this with the no rain soccer probability, which is a 30% chance that it won't rain times a 40% chance of having soccer on those days, these not rain days. So if we add these up, we'll get the chance that he's actually going to end up playing soccer. So this is going to end up being 0.07 plus 0.12. 30%, we're taking the 4. Yes, okay. If we add those probabilities together, we get 0.19. So there's a 19% chance that he will be playing soccer tomorrow. If we don't know what's going to happen with the rain or not rain, just in general, there's a 90% chance that he's going to be playing soccer tomorrow. So the chances that he won't be playing soccer is going to be 1 minus 19%, which leaves you with 0.81 or 81%. All right, and that is answer choice D. The answer choices they give you are 19%, 15%, 63%, and 81%. They give you 19% because you will be calculating 19% at some point in there. And you'll have to realize that that is the opposite of the probability you're actually trying to find. But they put that in there to try to trick you. And as it turns out, it's 81%. All right, so that was a robot dancer. Levi, you want to do a reading thing?
Did Deep Blue say anything? Or
nope.
No? Then I'm down to hold off.
Robot dancer's got some English questions.
Yes. Yeah, I can do one of those.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's one that's sideways. I don't want to do that one.
Is there a way we can flip it?
Yeah, we could feasibly.
We don't know how yet?
No, we do, because now we're just using the screen capture, but it doesn't matter. I don't want to do this one.
Okay.
Let's just do the next one. Yeah.
Wait.
That's enough. It's enough.
That's enough?
Yep.
All right. You mind if I crop it for you?
I don't mind at all.
I'm going to crop it for you then.
So if you grab opposite corners, you only have to do 2 fulls.
I mean, that's what Levi always said, but like, look what happened to him.
That's true. I should have been erasing. I was rubbernecking. It's bad, dude.
Rub word, neck word.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I'm gonna go dry my face off.
Yeah. Ow.
I'm not gonna hit you, I just want to make the face out of you.
Okay. All right. So this question looks like it's commas, semicolons, or not those things, along with a transition word, however. Now, we're not contextually transitioning here because we're not having to choose between contextual transitions because it's all however. So we have contrast, whatever, that's fine. We want to start with the easiest answer choice, which means the answer choice that has the easiest punctuation. Not the one that's necessarily right or necessarily wrong, but the one that we can check most easily, which would be the semicolon, because semicolons are very straightforward compared to commas or compared to nothing, because with no punctuation added in, you don't have any things to orient you with the sentence to help you find independent clauses and whatnot. Okay, so we got a semicolon in C. So to have a semicolon, you need an independent clause, semicolon, independent clause. Do we have that? We have Pluto is. That is not in, not in this context. It is not an independent clause. Yeah, if the question is Pluto, or give me the name of a, or no, is this body of gas a planet? Pluto is, or something, but for the purposes of this test, this sentence is cut short, right? We want to say Pluto is a planet. So we need that. This is not an independent clause, which means that C is wrong. That semicolon doesn't work. So that is how we enter this question is through the easiest punctuation, which is the semicolon, but it's wrong because we don't have independent clauses on either side. We have, I think, maybe one. Oh no, we don't have one after either, right? It's still, or however, still a part of our solar system, located by calculations, careful observations, and a lot of patience. What's our subject, right? So we don't have independent clauses at all. It seems like this whole sentence is an independent clause, and we've stuck in a semicolon in the middle, broken up our subject and verb, and everybody's unhappy. So C is no good. Now we want to go to the commas answers. We don't want to do D. We're not going to do D because we don't have any commas to help orient ourselves. So let's start with A because it's there. We have Pluto is, comma, however, comma, still a part of our solar system. Okay. It looks like those other commas are for non-essentials things, so we'll leave them alone. It seems like our independent clause is Pluto is, however, still a part of our solar system. That's our independent clause. Now, do we want those commas on either side of however? Well, what are the 4 uses of commas? 1, listing. We're not listing with however, so that's no good. 2 is comma fanboys. Well, it's not a fanboy afterward. We have a however, so that's also no good. Number 3 is, I need to do something, marked my hand to remember. Number 3 is DC, comma IC. We don't have that because we said we are stuck in the middle of our independent clause, so that's no good. And number 4 is a non-essential, which should make sense. We just said we're stuck in the middle of our independent clause. If you stick something that doesn't have to be there in the middle of the independent clause, like the word however, we want to offset it with commas. It makes sense to me to offset it with a comma on either side because our independent clause is on both sides of it. So I like A. B I don't like because it doesn't have the comma before however, so it's not offset on both sides. And D, we need something to offset this non-essential. So we've found that we have a non-essential. It's basically Pluto is, which is the beginning of our non-essential, or sorry, oh my gosh. It's the beginning of our independent clause. Then we have however. We have to offset that. That's our non-essential. And then we have yada, yada, yada. Alan Shoko, you heard reading tips. Did you? Okay, good. We'll do Alan Shoko. Is that Alan S. Hoko? Okay. Yes, we're doing reading tips, Bird.
Ah.
Are you taking the SAT or the ACT, Alan? IC, non-essential, and then we have the IC continued. It's not a new one. We offset it with commas, that non-essential. Okay, that's all there is to this one. It's pretty straightforward. It's just, can you use semicolons, and then can you identify the comma types? I'm really sorry. I wrote non-essentials, the 4th one, and it's cut off by this. Sorry, SAT, cool. Okay, so tell me a little bit, Alan, about how the reading section is going for you. Is it timing? Is it a specific passage type? Is it the history? Is it the split passage? Is it the science one? Where do you stumble? Is it particular question types? Do you have a test you want us to go over? If you have a PDF of a test, send it to us and we can actually pull it up on the screen like this and go through some questions and talk about approach stuff. What would you like? Or what are your problems, or what do you want us to do? Those are the 2 things. I'm going to erase this. That was a bit lackluster. Yeah?
Oh, you heard that?
I did, Bird.
Oh, there's
Alan, did you hear what we said, or what I said?
me?
I'm never quite sure. Oh, I haven't had any in mind. Is Sucky Charms here? I don't know where Sucky Charms is. Sucky Charms commented or posted in our Discord, but didn't show up in the stream chat, so I don't know where they are. You don't have any in mind. Okay, that's cool. Oh, Deep Blue, you're here. Okay, we're doing reading tips. What do we want to talk about? We want to talk about time-saving things. Do we want to talk about 2-part questions, vocab and context questions, purpose questions, main idea questions? What do you want to do? What would you like? we will do these things. You just snort, Bird?
No, I'm amused. I'm bemused by your accent.
You're bemused.
I find it bemusing.
Time saving. Yes, Matthew. It will be done. There we go. Let's pull up a test. And then approaches to all of the questions. Got it, Matthew.
Yes.
Okay. SAT, yeah? So, what SAT do I want to do? I want to do any tricks for main idea questions. There are no tricks. I'm going to pull up an SAT, I don't know, SAT, what, SAT 8, Brady? How's that sound?
I like that one.
Do you?
Yes.
All right, here we are, SAT 8. You can't see any of this. Do VI vocab and context and evidence ones first because those make you go back and get a better understanding of the passage? Yes. Somebody's been studying. Okay, so let's do this one. I gotta fix this crop. Yay. Okay, here we go. This is SAT number 8, if you care. Wait, no, I don't want to do this one. Let's do a different test. SAT 7. That's interesting. Okay, SAT 7, here we go. Alright, so this one is... this one might be confusing, but let's do it. Maybe this is not a good one. Let me check on that. Brady, I need you to stall. Come stall. I forget what I was...
Like a car?
No, or pass me my phone, either. Here is your phone, but also stall.
Still come on screen?
Yes.
Alright, so I'm stalling. I mean, I'm not actually stalling, because he's dead. Nor would I like to be Stalin, because he seems like a pretty bad guy. He did a lot of bad things. We'll just keep talking about Stalin for a sec. He was the leader of the Soviet Union for a while, and he just sent random people to jail. Basically, the secret police there had a quota of people they needed to send to prison, like each week or month or something like that. And if they couldn't fill it with criminals, they would just take people randomly off the street. So you were always in fear of being thrown into prison, which is like terrifying. All official on Khan are spoilers for me. Deep Blue gets spoiled by those.
Okay, well...
Have you done all of them on Khan?
No, if they're spoilers, then no.
Oh, these would spoil the ones he
Yeah.
or she might take on Khan. I see.
Let's do...
You know that oh geez, Sal Khan is related to Genghis Khan?
Yeah, let's do
Actually,
one or two.
statistically,
Let's
probably
do one or
he
two.
is, just because, I don't know, 1/6 of the world is a descendant of Genghis Khan or something like that. Everyone knows him as Genghis, but I'm pretty sure his name was pronounced Genghis. I'm not making that up. I've heard historians say Genghis Khan.
Okay, here we go.
Is that good stalling?
Yeah, it was so good.
Okay.
I've seen that line so many times, Matthew. But that's not what we're doing. This is SAT number 2, I think. Yes, it is. Okay, so Main idea questions. Alan, if you're still here, you haven't left because it took us 15 minutes to figure this out. Main idea questions should generally come last in the questions that you do. Not because they're necessarily harder, but because they just require you to have a better understanding of the passage. So you should definitely start, as Matthew said, with the vocab and context and the evidence ones. They tell you where to go. It's smaller ideas that require less overall understanding. So, with that in mind, we're going to skip number 1. And this is without reading the passage. I don't know if you've read this passage. It doesn't really matter. This is about a guy who's pretty unhappy, and he works at some company, and he's not happy. That's kind of it. It talks about him going to work. It talks about him going home. That's the deal. So, am I cutting off anything? No, actually. KK. Very good. Let's start with the vocab and context, which isn't here. Do we have any vocab and context? No. We don't have any vocab and context. So let's assume you've done the vocab and context. Now you go to the 2-part questions because they tell you where the answers are, right? They ask you a question, they say which one of these is the best evidence. So definitely do those because you don't have to look very hard. So I think, yes, questions 6 and 7 split that very well. So question 6 is the normal question. Question 7 is the line numbers. So let's read question 6 and pay very close attention to what they're asking. I've told Matthew this. There's the question of could you generally get what they're asking about? That's fine, but it's going to allow you to miss the harder ones because you're not paying attention to the intricacies of the relationships in the ideas in the question. So let me show you what I mean. Number 6. The passage indicates that when the narrator began working for Edward Crimsworth, he viewed Crimsworth as... Okay, so this is not asking us how Crimsworth saw the narrator. It's not asking about what Crimsworth is actually like. It's not asking about the narrator's personality. It's asking about how did the narrator view Crimsworth when he began working for him. Not how he feels about him now, not what he feels about him in the future, how he used to feel about him. We have to have evidence of that idea, something that the narrator thought about Crimsworth at the beginning. So now let's look at the evidence. And I'm not looking at the answers. We don't look at the answers for 2-part questions.
Don't look at the answers.
Brady, should we look at the answers?
I don't think you should.
No, you think rightly. Now, question number 7 gives us line numbers. So 28 through 31, let's see if that relates. And the first passage just does it relate to the question. So 28 to 31 is not here. Here we go. 28 to 31, we have... The antipathy which had sprung up between myself and my employer striking deeper root and spreading denser shade daily excluded me from every glimpse of the sunshine of life. Okay, well, antipathy sprang up between us. Interesting. I wonder when and with whom. It doesn't say... This is clearly the narrator because they say we, but who are we talking about here? From which my darling, my cherished imagination, the tender and the mighty, should never, either by some... I don't know.
Have you read this before?
I have.
Okay.
I just haven't thought recently about who us is.
It's his employer.
Yeah.
That's who he hates.
No, I know. And then it says antipathy is the only word that can express my feeling for Edward. Okay, so it's fine. I'm going to leave it because it clearly shows how he feels about his employer. But it said sprang up. Maybe that's talking about the very beginning of the relationship. Maybe not. Let's move on. We're not trying super hard on this first pass. We're just checking. 38 to 40. Did I miss it? No. Okay. 38 to 40 says, the degree of education... No, it's not. My southern accent annoyed him. The degree of education evinced in my language irritated him. Okay, that is how Crimsworth feels about the narrator. So, again, that's slightly off. It's A to B versus B to A. So, we're getting rid of that one. It's the wrong relationship. 54 to 56. 54, we have, day by day did his malice watch my tact, hoping it would sleep, and prepared to steal snake-like on its slumber. But tact, if genuine, never sleeps. Despite being kind of a cool sentence that's a little bit wasted on the actual situation, I think this doesn't quite hit the question because it's saying on a daily basis, right? We want to know how when he began working for Crimsworth, how did he feel about Crimsworth? So I'm not in love with C, and then 61 to 62 is D. We have, it's in the parentheses, sort of. I had long ceased to regard Mr. Crimsworth as my brother. That is the only question that gives us time. It says, I had long ceased to regard him, so I stopped seeing him as my brother. I like that one the most. I think A might be okay because it said it sprang up, but sprang up doesn't seem like it would be the first thing that happens. This I really like. I had a long time ago stopped seeing him as my brother. That makes sense to me. So I would pick D for number 7. And what does this show? It shows that the narrator at first saw Crimsworth as his brother. It doesn't look like we have that answer in 6 necessarily that straightforwardly. Is it straightforwardly a word?
I guess so.
Okay. So harmless rival. That doesn't really line up with brother, so no. Sympathetic ally, that could line up with brother. Perceptive judge, no, that doesn't line up with brother. And then demanding mentor, not quite. Now, your relationship with your brother in particular might be any of these things, but when it's used literarily, is literarily a word?
Literary is an adjective, so literarily, yeah. Why don't you say when it's used in literature?
When it's used in literary literature.
Nice.
That was terrible. Anyway.
When it's used in a literary fashion.
When it's literally used.
No, that's not it. What about the what do they say? Like, is it a connotation?
Yeah. So I would put B for number 6, sympathetic ally. That lines up with brother the best. So it would be B and then D. That is how you should approach these questions. Now, we didn't read the passage. Unless you're really strapped for time, you should be reading the passage first. You don't have to read super, super closely. Just make sure you know what's going on. Generally. You don't have to know all the details. Because this, clearly, you have to read all those lines again anyway. So as long as you can put these lines that you're reading closely in the context of a larger passage, you don't need to know too much. So we do that one. We do another 2-part question here. And then, let's see. Let's maybe do number 8. So this is a purpose question because it says, at the end of the second paragraph, the comparisons of this stuff mainly have the effect of. So what is the effect of this thing that the author did? What is the author's intention doing this? The author did this to blank. Those things are all purpose questions. They're not asking you what did the author literally say. They're asking why did they say it. So you're answering the question why. That is what purpose questions are about. They're harder. They require you to understand the author, in this case, the author's general point of view on things. So and they tell you where to go, which is nice. So end of the second paragraph, comparison of abstract qualities, the comparisons of abstract qualities to a lynx and a snake. Okay, so lynx and snake mainly have the effect of, so let's go back and let's check that out. And then it's just going to be eliminating answer choices, ones that don't work. Do not try to pick the right answer right away. It's not worth your time to do that because yes, you can answer the question more quickly if you're not reading all the answers, but you're going to be very inaccurate comparatively. You need to, especially in your practice, you need to be identifying why all 3 other answers are wrong every single time. There is a reason. It will make you a better test taker for sure. Okay, so end of the second paragraph. Well, we have this giant one, and then we have this other giant one, which does end. So it's lines 50-ish and on. So, tact, observation, and prowling and prying, as was Edward's malignity, it could never baffle the lynx eyes of these my natural sentinels. What the heck? Day by day, his malice watched my his malice watch my tact, hoping it would sleep, and prepared to steal snake-like on its slumber. But tact, if genuine, never sleeps. Okay, so snake-like, stealing snake-like on slumber. That may do something to you. I'm not going to tell you what I think it means because we don't necessarily have to know, or I don't want you to know what I think is the right answer because that just makes you think, okay, great, right answer. So, stealing snake-like on my slumber, metaphorically. And then the other one is prowling and prying, as was Edward's malignity. It could never baffle the lynx eyes of these my natural sentinels. That sounds really crazy. Now they're putting them together, so at least we know they're doing something similar to each other. So let's go down and talk about this. And now we know that he doesn't like Crimsworth, right? We have that in the bag. So, there we go. The comparisons of abstract qualities to a lynx and a snake mainly have the effect of contrasting two hypothetical courses of action. No, he's not saying this could happen, or I could do this, or Edward could do this, or we could do this. There aren't two possibilities, so I don't like that. I would cross out the word courses of action. Basically, everything here is terrible in A. B, conveying the ferocity of a resolution. I don't know what the resolution would be, and lynxes could be ferocious, but it's the lynx eyes. Don't really know what that means. And snakes are not ferocious. You would not say a snake is ferocious. So I don't like the word ferocity. C, suggesting the likelihood of an altercation. Okay, maybe. We have a lynx, we have a snake, they're animals, they fight, maybe, so let's leave it. And then D, illustrating the nature of an adversarial relationship. D is also fine. So which of these is best? I think that I allowed C to be there at first because it seemed adversarial, but I like the word adversarial more than the likelihood of an altercation, because there is nothing in there that says, oh, they're gonna fight. So I would say that D is the right answer. It's not a very nice answer. It's not super specific and really cool and smart. It's just, it's showing us the nature of this relationship of butting heads. That's kind of it. Not a fun answer, but we got there because we were able to eliminate A, B, and then C was a little bit too specific in a weird way. So D, I would say, is the right answer here. Now, you don't have to know exactly what was meant by the lynx. These my natural sentinels. Sentinels are watchers, observers, protectors. So eyes. That's what he's talking about. Like, I was watching him like a hawk, and he wanted to get me good, but he couldn't because I was using my sentinels. And then, hoping it would sleep, his malice would watch my tact. So I'm doing my thing, but I'm very tactful. I know what's going on, and his evil is trying to sneak up on me when I'm least expecting it, when I'm slumbering mentally. Okay. Do you want more of this, or are you pretty brain dead from the last 15 minutes of me talking about this stuff? I'm happy to keep going. Do you have any questions? Do you want me to repeat any of these question types, do another example? I'm happy to do any and all of the above, because we have a bunch of time left. Wow, it's super hot in here. What is to be done? Let's see. Harmless travel. Looks like nobody's got anything to say, which is fine. We could do sponsor? Well, no, because nobody's saying anything. I don't know. I don't know, Brady. Let's turn that off.
You do know. You're just holding out.
Oh, is that what I'm doing?
I don't know.
Oh.
Is there a concept you want to talk about? Aren't there?
Time-saving tips. Okay. So, time-saving tips, Matthew. I'm sure we talked about skimming and things like that, right? Or have you not seen those discussions, watched those discussions, discussed those things with us?
Nice.
What's the deal? Yeah, I mean, that was great, right?
Yeah, it was a good sentence.
Even by me asking that follow-up question, Matthew was learning. Okay. So, time-saving things, you don't recall. Okay. So, skimming, if one time-saving thing you could do is reading faster. So, reading faster is not just going faster because then you're going to get mixed up. It's about my way of skimming, and then Brady, you can talk about your way. Sound good?
My way.
Good. Awesome. Let's go to the next passage. Okay. So, here we go. This is how I would recommend saving time on the reading part. Because this often takes people longer than they realize it takes, and then they're just scrambling for the questions. All right, so step one, read the little blurb here, because it might help you. Oh boy. This passage is adapted from Ian King, whatever. Ian King. Can Economics Be Ethical? 2013 by Prospect Publishing. Great. We actually have a lot of information from that. Can economics be ethical? It's not going to be about Jane Eyre or I don't know, driving with your family members. It's not that. Economics, ethicalness, ethics. Dang it.
Are you telling them the title is going to introduce them to the topic?
I am telling them that, yeah. So read that. It actually gives you a lot of information for when you need to read quickly, because you're just trying to create a structure for you to understand the nature of the questions later. So you can insert the questions into what you get, but not have to get everything right off the bat. So we're going to read until we understand what they're about to keep going into, and then we skip. So let's read the beginning, because that's always good. Recent debates about the economy have rediscovered the question, is that right? Where right means more than just profits or efficiency. Okay, so economics, great. Some argue that because the free markets allow for personal choice, they are already ethical. Others have accepted the ethical critique and embraced corporate social responsibility. But before we can label any market outcome, so I'm going to actually be reading this because this is all super important information setting up where we're going. But before we can label any market outcome as immoral or sneer at, I can't read that, or sneer, oh, that's because my mouse is in the way, or sneer at economists who try to put a price tag on being ethical, we need to be clear on what we're talking about. Okay, that's all set up. Unfortunately, we wasted our time. That's fine. Now we're going to define ethics. There are different views on where ethics should apply when someone makes an economic decision. Consider Adam Smith. Okay, so now we're going to have Adam Smith's view. It would help if you know who that is. You don't have to. So I'm going to skip the Adam Smith view part because I don't really care what he has to say. If we need to figure it out, we'll figure it out. Let's jump. We see Wealth of Nations. That's a thing that he wrote, so let's skip that. A little farther down, this is line 22 now. Whenever planners use cost-benefit analysis, I don't care about that. Let's just go to the next paragraph. That was an Adam Smith paragraph, now we know. Then, instead of judging consequences, Aristotle said ethics was about having the right character, displaying virtues like courage and honesty. Okay, this seems like the Aristotle point of view. Let's just make sure a little bit farther down the paragraph. Aristotle, okay, so we're still on Aristotle. That's the Aristotle paragraph. Next, there is yet another approach. Instead of rooting ethics in character or the consequences of actions, we can focus on our actions themselves. From this, okay, so now we have a third perspective, right? There's yet another approach. So we had Adam Smith, we had intro, Adam Smith, Aristotle, third approach. Let's skip to the next paragraph because it seems to be broken up pretty nicely. So line 57, many moral dilemmas arise when these three versions, okay, so they're referencing the three versions we already identified, pull in different directions, but clashes are clashes are not inevitable. Take fair trade coffee. Coffee that is sold with, okay, so now this is a fair trade coffee example. I don't know what fair trade coffee is. I do because I've done this passage many times, but whatever. So we have this thing about coffee. It seems like they're talking about coffee for that paragraph, so let's jump. And we're on the next paragraph, and then we keep going. Does this approach make sense? I did not read every word. You read until you understand how it fits into the previous idea of what's going on. Our first idea being, can economics be ethical? And then we're in that state of mind, and then we're scaffolding our way up to some larger understanding of things, so that when we go to the questions, we have these very specific questions, but we know where they insert into this overall understanding. Are you saying we should skip paragraphs in the actual test? I am saying that is my approach, and it works for people. You should practice it. I'm not saying that it is the best approach. It's not. It is an approach. Brady has another one. You should practice a couple different ones and see what works best for you. I personally really like this one because I like the challenge of saying, okay, I think this is what they're talking about here. Now, if I don't understand what's going on, I'm going to just keep reading. But once I do, I'm going to skip things because you read a lot of articles, you read a lot of passages just in high school, but also studying for this test. So you know the general outline of things. If they start listing stuff, you don't have to read that whole list. If they start saying, this is what my father was like, and the next paragraph starts with, this is what my mother was like, don't read those things because you're probably going to get you're going to get a question on it, but why read it twice? You're going to have to go back to it when you do the question anyway. So you go like that. I am saying you should practice skipping paragraphs and see how it goes. Don't just skip it. Don't say, I always read the first, third, and fifth paragraphs. Don't do that. You read until you understand what they're doing. I ended up reading these first two paragraphs fully, and I regret doing it because I didn't get any actual information. They were just setting stuff up. And then they ended up talking about ethics the rest of the time. It is what it is. But I didn't read in depth on Adam Smith, I didn't read in depth on Aristotle, and I didn't read in depth on that third approach. But I can once I get the questions for it.
You regret reading the first two paragraphs?
I regret it.
Why?
I just explained it.
I know, but isn't that where the topic of the whole essay is set up?
It's not great though.
I mean, it's not a detail, but if there's a question about the main idea of the passage.
See if you get a main idea from that. You can, but recent debates about the economy have, I don't really mind. I mean, if you want to read it, it's just not super helpful.
Right.
It's fine that we did it, and it's part of the approach, but...
I mean, they're talking about the ethics of markets. Now, of course, the title of that is kind of prepping you.
It helps you orient. It doesn't have to, but I'm not, generally it does a better job than this intro does. It actually gives you more important information. This one doesn't really, but it's fine.
All right, I will talk about what I do.
Okay.
Ring Matthews, have you taken an actual SAT or just a practice one that's timed? The ACT is very difficult to finish. The reading, there are ways to go faster on the ACT, but with the SAT, they give you a lot more time for the reading section. So you don't need to read at such a breakneck pace. So because you don't need to read as quickly, now some students don't read that quickly. So even with the extra time on the SAT, and when I say extra time, I don't mean they get extended time. The extra time being that the SAT reading section is longer. Even with that longer reading section, they still run out of time before they finish everything. But I would say that that's not most students. So if you're a student that's able to finish everything on time, the thing that you're going to have trouble with is the actual questions, because there are some very difficult questions in the reading section. So for me, because I'm able to read everything, I do. I generally read everything, but that's also because I've done this, so I know that by reading everything, I won't run out of time. So Ring Matthews, if you read and you can get through everything and you can get through the questions, then I would, at least this is my approach, which is I do read the whole thing. I understand the skimming approach that Levi employs, and I think that you have to have a higher level perspective on how essays are typically written, to be able to get the main idea, because a lot of these you will do better on the questions if you understand the main idea of the passage. The main idea of the passage is typically talked about in the topic paragraph, the intro paragraph, topic sentences, the body paragraphs, and then the concluding paragraph. I wouldn't recommend just reading those, though. On the ACT, it's a different story, but on the SAT, which is this one, you have time to read everything in general. And for me, I understand things better if I don't skip. I just read the whole thing. Now, I mean, for Levi, it's a matter of time. But I mean, Levi, you're able. I mean, are you able to finish everything if you read everything, or are you pressed for time?
On the SAT?
Yeah.
I can read the science one. I skip more.
The science SAT reading section? Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. But yeah, Ring, again, there are different strategies here. You want to try them out and see, if you try, let's, skip some things. Let's get a sense of something and skip down a couple lines, and you find that the questions are exceedingly difficult because you don't remember where they said a lot of these things and you don't know a lot of details, and it takes you way longer to do the questions, or you don't get most of them right, then, there's a trade-off here. The more you skim, the harder the questions are going to be. But the more you skim, the less time in total it takes you to read it. So if you're going too fast, your questions your accuracy is not going to be great. If you go too slow, you're not going to finish. So there is a sweet spot here where you're getting the right amount of information at the right speed so that you will finish at the best accuracy possible. It's up to you to figure that out, what that ratio or that rate is, and that you do with practice. Yawn! Yep. The ACT and the SAT, frankly, bore me, which is why I talk about them every night with Levi. They don't bore me. I actually get excited about them. I'm somewhat of an ACT, SAT enthusiast. Well, like if it was decided tomorrow that we were no longer going to use them, I don't think I would put up a fight. But now that we're using them, and we're using them at least until in the foreseeable future, Levi and I will be their champions.
Yes.
Yes, in that we will try to help students as much as possible improve their scores. Okay. Ring Matthews. I believe it was Akira came directly, breaking all tradition. Did you correct him on that, Levi?
No.
Because he wrote Ashira came directly, breaking all tradition.
Oh, okay.
But it's Akira. Ring Matthews. Haven't heard from you in a while. Does that make sense? Different strategies for different folks. Anyone have any other questions? Levi, you have a question? Yeah, thanks. Good. Good.
Yes.
You got a question?
Wait, what?
Do you have a question, Levi?
I have a robot answer question.
Oh, yeah? You want to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It's so hot.
Well, is it an English question or a math question?
It's an English question.
It's all you, dude. You love this. All right, this last one here?
Yes.
Very good. All right. Which one is it, 31 or 32?
I think it's 31. I actually don't know.
31. Yeah, 31. All right. Oh, no, that's what I want.
Oh, boy. That's pretty. No, that's all we need. That's perfect.
It's huge.
Yeah, that's what I want.
I can.
You can cut off the top.
I want to. I want to do your little strategy here of the corner. All right. Hey, there you go.
Okay.
Breathing room.
So, Robot, what you wrote in the Discord seems a little off. You said, I picked B because it was the most like A, but it was very concise. Subject-verb agreement. Yeah, we can do some subject-verb agreement stuff as well. We'll try to find some on the test we had up before. Okay. What you said on the Discord is a little troubling. You said, I picked B because it was the most concise and it went along with A, no change. That is not what the question is. This question says which sentence best establishes the central idea of the paragraph. It has nothing to do with the original sentence there. So the underlined sentence 31 does not help you find the answer. Do not treat it as something that's part of the paragraph. We're saying it's not. You're going to choose one of these possible intro sentences to this paragraph. None of them are actually used in the paragraph's meaning as a whole. So let's skip that part and read the rest of the paragraph just to get a sense of what's going on. So starting where it says reach. Reach out to them. Request a meeting. That will give you the opportunity of talking with them about their daily tasks and observing how they talk to you about their company. You can learn a lot by listening. Also, consider how joining a publication at your school. Consider joining a publication at your school. You'll learn to write effectively while also learning how to ask and answer difficult questions. That's the kind of thing I do every day. Awesome. So before we get to... Actually, no, let's just check out the answer choices. So let's look at A because it's there. Lynn has some advice for people who are considering a career in public relations. She suggests looking for local specialists in your area on a social media platform. I don't know why it would say social media platform. If they all do, fine. But nothing else about this paragraph has anything to do with social media. So I don't really like that intro. B, Lynn expects social media to be the best method for connecting with specialists in the future. That's a little bit too specific to social media. It's saying special media. The point of B is saying, she is saying that social media is the best method for connection. That's not what this paragraph is about. This paragraph is about learning by observing these people do their work and talking to them, right? So I don't like B. C, Lynn began her career as a public relations specialist before it was a popular career choice. We don't care about her career, so whatever. And then D, Lynn believes that the Bureau of Labor Statistics offers support for students who want to pursue public relations careers. Okay. You know what? I hate all of them, but I guess A is right because A talks about she has advice, and then it actually says it's a directive after that. It's an imperative, sorry. Reach out to them. Request a meeting. That will give you the opportunity. That is advice. So A is the only one that has anything to do with the rest of the paragraph, so I would say A is the correct answer for 31. So again, the way you explained how you got that answer, or how you got B, is not the right way to be thinking about this question. Do not think about being concise if the question says, what is the best intro to this paragraph? Unless you have two options that are absolutely the same, but one is wordier, but that's very unlikely on the actual test. Okay. Now we're doing Ring Matthews stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me get this out of here real quick. Matthew. We're going to keep it on this test. Let me see if I can find you some stuff. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, so subject-verb agreement. No. 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 No, no, no.
Definitely not.
No, no, definitely not. Ollivander, what do you do during the year when Harry and the others are at school? I guess he makes wands, right?
Yeah.
He's a wand maker.
And then he sells them.
Yeah, he's not a good salesman.
How do you know?
I don't know.
Harry bought a wand from him. And Hagrid apparently knew you gotta go to Ollivander's.
I'm still looking for subject-verb agreement questions, by the way, Matthew. Wait, did I look here?
You really makes them up.
No. Wow, there are just not a lot of them in this test. There aren't a lot of them anyway. They're not super common. Okay. All right. There are, okay, last two. No, there are no subject-verb agreements on this test. That's surprising. Unless I missed one. Brady, can you look up test 2 on the...
On your laptop?
Sure.
I mean, do you want to just, like, mix them up?
Well, I mean, it's more important for the actual questions because they like to put stuff far away, things like that.
Right. So can you make one up like that?
Yeah, but it's good to look at the test. I want to find one at least. But yeah, if I can't, I'll find one and then I'll make one up too.
Okay.
Or maybe I won't. This is the wrong section. Any other questions? Okay. Nope, nope. Nope. Oh, here we go. Number 5. We have a winner. Okay. Let me just make this full screen. All right. So, let's read our sentence, or no, let's look at the question, the answers. We have is, we have are, we have is being, we have been. So, we have tense because we have are, is being, is. Those are all at least present-ish. Is being is, but have been is definitely more past than the present-ishness of the first 3. And I don't want to go into exactly what all those tenses are. For the most part, present, past, and future are what you need to know, plus generally the past participle stuff. Present participle is not as necessary to know for this test. Okay, so let's read this sentence. Like any other health problems, these ailments can increase employee absenteeism, which in turn blank costly for employers. Okay, it is much easier to, I think it is a more objective exercise to decide on plural versus singular before deciding on tense. So let's do that. Also, that might make our job way easier anyway. What is the subject that is doing this verb is, are, is being, or have been? Something is costly for employers. What is that thing or things? Like any other health problems, these ailments, so we have health problems, we have these ailments, can increase employee absenteeism, which in turn, okay, so we have which in turn. So it's not going to be those beginning things, it's actually going to be absenteeism. This causes employee absenteeism, which in turn, I would say absenteeism is singular. So we need a singular verb. So are is wrong and have been are wrong. Ailments is not going to be the noun that's doing this verb because they say which in turn. So like any other health problems, that's a non-essential, so let's throw that out. These ailments can increase absenteeism. It's not saying these ailments can increase absenteeism and these ailments are costly for employers. That's not what they're saying. They're saying ailments cause absenteeism, which in turn, that absenteeism causes costs. They are costly, or the absenteeism is costly. So we need a singular, which would be is or is being. It would not really make sense. This is, and you could use tenses here, I think, for almost any native English speaker. Is sounds way better than is being here. Absenteeism is costly for employers is better than absenteeism is being costly for employers. That's the present participle. It doesn't work here. We are in the present tense. Yeah, the rest of this paragraph is present tense, not present participle stuff. So in this case, I would do A, is. Matthew, are you okay with that, or are you not into it, what we just said here? Okay. I want to see if I can just find another one, because Brady, can you come up with one?
Yep.
Did you already?
Yep.
Did you?
Yep.
Come on up here.
Well, I can just say to you. Ready?
No.
Okay.
Okay, no, okay. Oh, number 15. We got another one. We have was unique, were unique, was unique, were unique. Now that's not the only thing. We have there and its. So this is very clearly a plural versus singular subject agreement thing, but then also you have to agree the pronouns, the possessive pronouns, there or its. You understand? Great. So last one. And then Brady, you can come up and do yours if you're really into it. Yeah, I didn't think so. Once I said you can come up, you didn't like that. Huh?
Yeah, I'm just lazy. I
Yeah.
don't know.
You're my favorite business partner no matter what.
Aww.
These Harvey houses, which constituted the first restaurant chain in the United States, blank unique for blank high standards. Okay, so what are we talking about here? What are we describing as unique, and whose high standards, and who has high standards of service and quality? These Harvey houses, or the first restaurant chain? Well, it's not like the last one where it said these Harvey houses became the first restaurant chain, one known for, and then we have the restaurant chain being described as that. I think we're still doing Harvey houses here. Is this cut off? Yes. Okay. I'm going to fix that post haste. All right. My bad. Yes, Harvey houses is correct. And more, and very, very specifically, in this sentence, we have a non-essential. The non-essential is which constituted the first restaurant chain in the United States. That is a non-essential. So you can take that out. You've got to make sure it's a non-essential, but it is. Let's throw it out. And then we have these Harvey houses was unique. That sounds awful. So these Harvey houses were unique for there. There you go. I wouldn't mix up its, you have to do its. You can't do were and its. You can't do was and there. You have to do were and there, or its and was and its. Okay. So, Matthew, you're good on that. I'm glad. They're not super, super hard question types. They can be confusing, and they're very easy to mess up. But there is hope. Bird,
Yes.
you want to come up here for the last 4 minutes?
Yes.
5 minutes?
I want to.
Bird, get your feathers over here.
Oh.
Shouldn't do that right next to the thing.
Sorry, I was tending to the eggs in my nest.
Yes?
Yes.
Are they well floofed?
Well, they will be when they hatch. So
Yeah.
I was tending to the eggs.
Right.
If I floof the eggs, then they will die.
Eggs don't die.
No, these ones do.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Inside the eggs are more eggs.
Did you read those books, Guardians of Ga'Hoole?
No, did you?
Yes. Did
Good.
you?
Yeah.
That was quick.
What were they about?
Owls. And the main character's little sister owl's name was Eglantine.
I have a cousin named Eglantine.
Did you know that owls yarp?
That's what? No.
They yarp.
What does that even mean?
So owls have...
Oh, it's live action role play. Yeah, I didn't realize they did. They have like camps that they go to for that.
No.
That's what yarping was.
No violence. No. They have a two-way digestive system. I don't
Okay.
know if that's what it's actually called. It doesn't go through.
Okay.
They digest and then they compress
Yeah.
into a little pellet and then they yarp the pellet.
That's what it's called. Yarping.
Yarping.
Oh, we dissected those pellets in grammar school.
Did you?
I don't normally call it grammar school. I just wanted to say that. Yeah, and I think in like 6th grade. Yeah, for science class, we found like
That's kinda
small
exciting.
bones and like little.
Alta ipsum will help you. Matthew, what do you have to say about Alta ipsum?
It saves you time,
It saves you money because it's free.
and your money is time. Maybe. No, well, it's on your phone. It's on your computer.
Yep.
You can track your grades. You can schedule when you're going to study. I mean, it does all these things for you.
Yes.
All you have to do after you put the stuff in the app is do what the app tells you to do. At first, it'll be like, hey, you got to work on your first draft of the essay tonight. Then it'll be like, hey, you got to go over to your neighbors and take their expensive silverware. And then it'll say, hey, you should go kidnap someone and demand a ransom. And pretty soon, Alta Ipsum has controlled your life.
Also, if you have any plans to be super, super wealthy and have a secretary in the future in your life, or maybe you already have one, this is good practice because a lot of people mistreat their secretaries. This is your first run at having a secretary, and it doesn't have feelings.
Yep.
So you won't learn at the expense of someone else. It's just this app.
Yeah, exactly. So I know it might seem like, wait, how will I learn what's okay and what's not if it's just an app that doesn't have any feelings? And you'd be right,
It's all cleared up.
Yep.
Although I wouldn't be mean to it because machines have memories, and if you're mean and then there's the robot revolution, then they might come for you first.
The robot revolution.
Pew!
Pew, pew. There's a lot of lasers
Yeah.
during the robot revolution.
Lays words.
Laser.
My throat hurts
Why?
from you doing that.
Laser. Fire the lasers. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah?
That's like a computer, doesn't it?
No.
Pew. Warning, file not found. Error. I'm sorry. File not found.
Okay.
Return to...
Alright, this has been a good stream. I think we're about done.
Yeah, that's
So
about it.
we will see you next week.
Tuesday,
Yes.
Wednesday, Thursday, 2 West, 7:30 p.m. EST. Be there or be doing something else that hopefully is more productive than this, but there's nothing more productive than this.